Louisville, in the state of Kentucky, is where Breonna Taylor lost her life at the hands of police, and the government tried to cover it up. But the people stepped up, came out, and fought against them. Everyone from BLM and Until Freedom to Grandmaster Jay and the NFAC got involved in this fight for justice. Now it seems like they are big mad. Perhaps because they want the right to continue to threaten, harass, discriminate against, and even murder innocent, unarmed, and unsuspecting black people like Breonna Taylor without any consequences. They have since tried to punish, harass, and publicly shame those who stood up, wrongfully arresting hundreds of protesters from Until Freedom and other groups for exercising their right to peacefully publicly protest, including community leaders like my son and Tamika Mallory. State and federal officials brought what even white militia members admit seem to be trumped-up charges against NFAC black militia leader Grandmaster Jay, apparently for demanding justice in the Taylor case, as can be heard in this call he had with Kentucky officials.
I want you all to understand that I'm speaking to the members of the city council, the police chief, and everyone else. I'm going to be frank, and that's the reason that I came, and that's the reason why I was open to a dialogue, because of the simple fact that I understand that the breadth and the width of this investigation has expanded because of some of the information that has come to light. We're fully aware of that. You are in the national spotlight right now. No one has been arrested in this case. 87 people were locked up yesterday and placed under felony charges for simply sitting on someone's lawn, yet no one has been arrested in Breonna's case. Our concerns are very immediate, that on that particular day, those officers went into this young lady's house who did not have a criminal record, and they killed her point blank. And we can't even get anybody charged. We're not saying convicted. We simply said charged to show us that the judicial system is honest and fair in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I have to have some type of information from the city of Louisville that is credible, instead of keeping us in the dark and making us think that you don't care about the death of this young lady, which was a grievous mistake by law enforcement under the Commonwealth.
All eyes are on Louisville right now on this decision, so it would behoove to make a very wise decision, because life will not go back to normal after if the wrong decision is made and thinking this thing is going to be swept under the rug.
Right.
There are people all over the world that are looking to see in terms of how Louisville is going to respond, what's going to happen, how the decision is going to be made. And as of right now, the decision is in the hands of the Attorney General. All the information is being turned over to the Attorney General, that he would be the one that would be responding in terms of making a decision.
Let me ask a quick question with regards to, I understand the details may be confidential and this is an ongoing investigation and we respect that. But is there any information that you can provide with regards to a timeline? This appears to be the sticking point of this entire case. It's been over 100 days.
Right.
What is the timeline? Give us something so that we can say, okay, we're going to wait until this particular point in time, because the people are tired of waiting. They're really tired of waiting. They didn't waste any time locking people up yesterday. They didn't have no problem with that. What is the timeline? You've got folks walking around who are under the impression that you don't care.
Let me say something as it relates to the timeline and very specifically about that. And that is in terms of, as when the case was turned over to the AG, that's one of the things that everybody's been asking in terms of, we too as an administration have been asking, what is the timeline? He has consistently said that he would not give us a timeline in terms of when we can expect a decision to be rendered. And that has been his response from being consistent in terms of when he's spoken, and any time he's spoken publicly, he said that has been consistently asked by the public, what time frame are we looking at and how you're going to respond? And he has consistently said he is not going to give us a timeline. He wants a full investigation. That's been his rhetoric. But we're continuing to push for that. We continue to urge the Attorney General to be as swift as possible and as accurate as possible, because the people want justice and they want it now.
So, very much, Jake. Good to meet you. I would differ a little bit with what Mr. James says, and that is this. The shooting occurred on March the 13th. for police management, not enough resources were dedicated to this particular investigation. And so the Attorney General did not receive the full case to investigate until about 3 weeks ago. Even though the mayor got on TV and said that he gave the case to the Attorney General in May, he only gave part of the case to the Attorney General in May. And so, even at that, not having it ready in May and not even having it ready by the end of April is inexcusable. But that's because of his poor leadership. And so now we're stuck waiting for the Attorney General to tell us what he has found out.
That's fine, and thank you for that information. But the question that now raises is, well, the Attorney General reports to the governor. So are you now telling us that the true dialogue that needs to happen should be with the governor and not at the city level?
No, sir. The Attorney General is independently elected constitutional officer. He reports to nobody but the citizens of Kentucky.
Well, the citizens of Kentucky appear to be expressing their will to have something done right away. So are you now saying that the Attorney General is not responding to the will of the people who elected him? The mayor is non-responsive. The Attorney General is non-responsive. So now you're telling us that the entire governmental structure of Kentucky is as backwards and racist as the world wants to think that it is? That if this had been a white woman that had been shot in her home by the police, that we would have seen it all over the news and that there'd be somebody in custody right now. Now you're telling me that an individual who has to report to nobody but who's supposed to reflect the will of the people is going to take his sweet time? Let me ask you all a question. Then if there's no check and balance for the Attorney General, then what is the purpose of having him? Please, somebody speak to this.
To respond to your question as it relates again to the timetable I shared with you. And one of the things that I would definitely specify that when the mayor turned over, why it went to the Attorney General, the mayor has requested that the Attorney General and has also have an independent investigation with the FBI, and he's turned those over to them because he wants to make sure that truth comes out and justice is taken.
I'm not sure of how the political structures of every state is, but I know in the state of Kentucky, the Attorney General is independently elected by the people. Second thing I would say is that the police department had the state from March 13th to, 3 weeks ago. And so, that's a long time. I would suggest that I would like for the Attorney General to give some sort of timeline on when he anticipates that he's going to be finished with that. But I'll also tell you, he's only had it for 3 weeks. So, that is what complicates the situation.
Thank you for that answer. That's good to know, but it still raises some dire concerns, my friend. And because I'm looking at the screen, I'm pretty sure that you could stand on the square when you tell me that those things that you told me are factual, and that because he's only received this 3 weeks ago, the normal turnaround time, as we've seen in cases that have been prosecuted where we've had shootings, we've at least had someone arrested and charged while the Attorney General decides whether or not we're going to go to a grand jury or an indictment. We all know the process. Some folks probably need to step down, and that this system of I don't know what to call it, this good old boy network atmosphere that appears to pervade all of these places in the South is what the people are seeing. Perception is some people's reality, gentlemen. And the perception right now is that Louisville don't give a damn. That Louisville says y'all can protest all you want. So what? You got the FBI investigating in your house because somebody dropped the ball. And all of you brothers that are sitting there in all of these high positions who have insight and visibility and contact with these people, as the gentleman said, cannot sit here on this call. So at this point, what I'm hearing is that it's out of all of you all's hands. Everybody is waiting.
But you don't have to. The Attorney General does. We don't control him, and I would suggest that's probably who needs to be on the call too.
And I would definitely agree with that.
Is it possible, gentlemen, is it possible for us to arrange a call with the Attorney General on the call?
No, we can definitely attempt to get him on a call and to set something up. We'll be glad to be able to facilitate that.
Gentlemen, is there anything else we need to talk about?
I just want to make sure you're fully informed when I say this, okay? When the Attorney General and the FBI were asked to look into this matter, they were asked to not only review, but to investigate, again, whatever findings were determined. So I just want you to be aware of that.
They weren't even arrested. Not even arrested. Even if they're out on bond or something, they're not even in the system. Do you know how that looks to Black Americans right now, in spite of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and everyone else? I don't have to go through the list. We're out of gas. These are not my sentiments. These are the people's sentiments. They're tired of the excuses. They're tired of waiting. They're tired of saying it's in someone else's hands. They're tired. And they're tired now when they're legally ready to do something about it. And the only thing standing between that is you guys and this Attorney General. I would implore you to get him on a call. Please reach out to me. I am here. I am available at all times. If you can get him, I would definitely be there to hear from him. What is the prognosis for us getting justice for Breonna Taylor?
Did we mention that State's Attorney General Daniel Cameron was mentored by the federal Senator Mitch McConnell, who even attended his wedding? Anyway. So Grandmaster Jay was arrested and charged by both the state of Kentucky and the federal government, including 5 counts of wanton endangerment for allegedly pointing his gun at officers standing on a roof above him hours after being honored with the Award for the Protection of Black People. To many, the whole case against him seems like retaliation because he dared to challenge officials in the Taylor case and sought justice.
Conduct that back-end investigation, which I did have to talk, and let them know in so uncertain terms, it's not just the people of Louisville that you owe an explanation to. You owe an explanation to Black people, period. Because this is not an isolated incident. Every time something happens, y'all want to talk about Ahmaud Arbery. Then y'all want to talk about George Floyd. It's always somebody else. No, this is one problem. So this was the problem that we felt needed to be addressed. And we needed to address it because you ain't saying nothing. Don't take this the wrong way, but these canned responses that were written by a speechwriter, that's not keeping it real with us, as we say. We grown folks, we can handle the truth. So our goal was to come down and do the second part. Because I told them, if I don't feel like you telling me the truth, or if you tell me something that's not going to satisfy what these people want, I'm going to bring my people in, just to emphasize that we really want the truth. And that's what today was. I'm delivering on my part of the bargain. Now, what they told me is what I told them. I hope they didn't lie to me. I really do. Because we can get to a resolution on this. And so somebody can have justice for Breonna. That's all. All that other stuff is extra. It's extra. So that was the goal.
Meanwhile, only one of the officers responsible was charged in Breonna Taylor's case, and that charge was also for wanton endangerment. Amazingly, this is the same charge they made against Grandmaster Jay for legally standing in the street with his legal firearm in an open carry area where he may have pointed it in the general direction of where an officer may have stood on a rooftop, far above the street, while still no one has been charged for Breonna Taylor's actual death yet. According to grand jurors whose gag order was lifted by a judge to allow them to speak, the reason why there were no charges for Taylor's death is because State's Attorney General Daniel Cameron's office lied to the jury by leading them to believe that they could not bring any charges related to the death itself against the police who were responsible.
While there are 6 possible homicide charges under Kentucky law, these charges are not applicable to the facts before us because our investigation showed, and the grand jury agreed, that Mattingly and Cosgrove were justified in the return of deadly fire.
I needed Breonna's mom and the community to know that it wasn't the grand jury that made this decision. It was Daniel Cameron and his office. Puppets. We were used as puppets.
They thought we were just going to do exactly what they told us to do, keep our mouths closed, vote on this, and walk out of that room. And it didn't happen that way. When Walker's interview came up, he actually disproved all the rest of them, of what they were saying. Each of the other officers had a different story. The only time their stories came together is when they said 3 phrases. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I do not remember.
I'm not sure.
I'm not exactly sure.
I'm not sure.
And then they each tapped their fingers on the desk. It's like selective evidence was not presented or withheld. But it was clear enough from listening to what we had that the officers involved, they had holes in their stories. They had holes in their holes.
I mean, the room erupted in a gasp, and many people said, that's all? Those are the only charges? We were expecting more.
We weren't made aware of any charges.
Of any additional charges that we could consider. And when we asked, they just said that they wouldn't apply.
What the Attorney General did was he shut down the grand jury's choices. He took our rights away from us. And then when he made that post-interview, he stood up and he lied about us. I was at the barbershop. Quite a few people in the barbershop, and the TV was on. Everybody was watching it. Before I could get my liar out, everyone else was already hollering it.
I came out of my chair and said, he just lied.
While there are 6 possible homicide charges under Kentucky law, these charges are not applicable to the facts before us because our investigation showed, and the grand jury agreed, that Mattingly and Cosgrove were justified in the return of deadly fire after having been fired upon by Kenneth Walker. Let me state that again. According to Kentucky law, the use of force by Mattingly and Cosgrove was justified to protect themselves. This justification bars us from pursuing criminal charges in Miss Breonna Taylor's death. The truth is now before us. The facts have been examined, and a grand jury comprised of our peers and fellow citizens has made a decision.
These grand jurors say that blatantly false statements were made to the American people about what the jury was told, and that they wanted to speak out because to them it seemed like a cover-up to protect the police involved in the killing of Breonna Taylor. Jurors have submitted a petition to impeach Kentucky State's Attorney General Daniel Cameron for what they believe was his office's intentional mishandling of the case. They hope that a new jury will hear the case, and that Breonna Taylor will get justice after all. As of February 2021, NFAC leader Grandmaster Jay still faces both state and federal charges stemming from his involvement in seeking justice regarding the case. To help, please Google the Grandmaster Jay Legal Defense Fund organized by Eleanor Harvey on GoFundMe, and give what you can. Or you can sign the petition at sign.moveon.org/petitions/free Grandmaster J.
Shots fired off in the streets, they trying to keep us suppressed, stuck in the belly of the beast. Ruckus and havoc at the least is all you see. Nowadays you get the needle of the bullet, grab a pistol, better pull it. It's a cop in uniform, and just another racist soul living crooked, never shook it, never looking down like a house nigga, cause we in the house nigga. Put up on them with them choppers, all you hear is crickets, cause we all eyes on Bree. Couple races big as 100 down the mile on me, that shit been really on my mind. Let's thank you, no Grandmaster J pull up on the McMichaels, all the rivals get confronted. If you frontin', we can see it, all eyes on Bree. All this knowledge I've been seeking got me casting out these demons in a dream. I think I seen this. I've been somewhere next to Venus, searching for a higher purpose versus hurting, suffering from generational curses. The best thing I could imagine is passing the game down to my son and break the cycle. Pray blessings do rain down. See the sun and grab the rifle. Like military minded, send them devils to the cemetery. We no longer blinded by the hate and delusions and the fate. Third eye open, way too focused in their face. He shut up shorty, time to party. All eyes on Bree. What up with the investigation? FBI be playing games. Attorney General on vacation like this shit really a game. Then I'm losing my patience. Many rappers getting slain. Only matter of time before you have to make a change. Avert the force they inflict with power of the organized. Block poppers can't block us. Shots to leave you open like a couple high school gym lockers. In America, the Grim Reaper lurk proper. Hurt coppers, the imposters get exposed. Shut the city down like a showstopper. Live the life of a thug, militant to the day I die. R.I.P. to the fallen soldiers. All eyes on Bree. Live the life of a thug, militant to the day I die. R.I.P. to the fallen soldiers. All eyes on Bree. Okay, so we moving on to the voting situations. I know they got Joe Biden and Trump, but either way that you go, you going out like a chump. If you condoning the bullshit, say face don't be your target. Make sure I load me a full clip, CPX in my skinny jeans. I'm toting the banger, look how the city will turn you mean. Mugging, fuck the media, they just killing our self-esteem. Being black kinda tedious. Remember being 17, whole time they been deceiving us. Institutionalized, manipulated and lied to. Playing Picasso, I don't boss trying to divide you. I got a bone to pick what you motherfuckers tied to. All the crooked government, devil worship in the Bible. Now do this in the name of Miss Everboys and my 7 joys. Keep my chakras in line, even demons bow to me. Cause a brother live the opposite of blind. If you look for me, I be just like a diamond you find in the gutter. Couple G's, throw up signs in the trap, in the kitchen with the cutter. Homie, cause it ain't a time to relax. Dark world, run for cover. You don't plan on shooting back, then you going out like a sucker. Choose a plane, you losing racks, crack. Under pressure in a modern day society, reckless. I do middle fingers to the white supremacists. All the way from in Louisiana to Texas. Carry clips like bananas, Hannah's drugs. We did them cause vanity is infectious. Rising power, my auntie Janice. Understands that my status is an anomaly. Metallic with the alchemy, so please don't be invalid with the Valkyrie. The static will give life to your unruly defeat. Live the life of a thug, militant to the day I die. R.I.P. to the fallen soldiers, all eyes on Bree. Live the life of a thug, militant to the day I die. R.I.P. to the fallen soldiers, all eyes on Bree. Live the life of a thug, militant to the day I die. R.I.P. to the fallen soldiers, all eyes on Bree. All eyes on Bree. All eyes on Bree. All eyes on Bree.